hearing health, it's an invisible disease process. You don't know what's going on unless you actually get a bit more emotionally involved with the parents and the family. What level do you have the TV on it? Blaring. 40. The bigger change we're trying to achieve is the general complete care of a child's growth from the day they're born, even from when pregnancy to the day they're born, right through to get them through school, so that the kids in the remote areas, rural areas, and also a lot of our Aboriginal population in the urban centres have equal opportunities to employment, education and lifestyle purely based on them, rather than being always behind in terms of hearing health. In terms of my practice back in Newcastle, we see a lot of ear disease. We see a dichotomy that exists between the general population and our Aboriginal population over there. And I guess when you come over to a place like this, it's nice to see what's the East Coast and West Coast doing in terms of comparative data on ear disease problems. And one thing's universal: it's terrible. That's an easy from that perspective. What's interesting in the area that we're in, the Kimberleys, is the Kimberleys is a very big geographical landmass, and so there's different communities, different people coming from all over the place. The fact that they come into Broome to see an appointment and have stuff done is a lovely thing, but that's also part of the solution that we're looking at, is getting access to healthcare. There was one kid that came in, I forget the name of the community, but it was 700 kilometres away. They've driven him came in early to make sure they were seen, and it tore my heart that we couldn't actually provide that operation on the same day, because they've come from such a long way to be seen. And so when people say, people don't care about their health, how can that be when, if I were to say to someone in New South Wales or Newcastle that they've come 700 kilometres to come to my clinic, and I'm just going to say, look, I don't have time, turn back, go away and come back when someone else comes up here, then I think that's kind of detrimental and certainly not positive in terms of the way that we can change things.
He gets earaches every now and then. Yeah, well, I'm not sure if he's got a problem, so it's good to come for the checkup, isn't it? Jack? It's good, eh? What? Get your ear checked out, because you always get earaches.
Jack is a young boy who has the classic problem of glue ear. Glue ear is a condition where fluid builds up into the middle ear cleft or the middle ear cavity, and because of fluids within that ear, the eardrum doesn't wobble. When the eardrum doesn't wobble, they don't hear. This is a classic part of it that we're seeing. The drum should be nice and flat like this. On his ear, instead of being like that, both of them look like that, and so sucked in a little bit. That means the eardrum's not wobbling properly. If the eardrum's not wobbling properly, he's not hearing. Because he's not hearing, that's where he's picking up, and that's what you see on the hearing test there. What we can do to try and help that is we can put a grommet in there, and a grommet's a little cut in the ear, and we put a little tube in there to suck all that fluid out, and he gets his hearing back straight away. Jack's at the early end of the spectrum in terms of ear disease. So on one hand, when we have older patients who've had perforations their whole life, and you wonder what happens if I got access to that person at an early age, here it is in the form of Jack. And so this is the whole idea of why we want to look at screening processes and we look at things earlier and earlier, so that we don't let Jack skew from the wrong, or in the wrong path. How old's Jack now?
7.
7. What's it like being 7? All right? Better than 6? Ear disease is often masked. And he's a beautiful kid who's very happy, who's very interactive, who no one would even know he had quite a profound hearing loss. When we did his hearing test, he had a 40 dB hearing loss, 40 dB being the extent of what the hearing loss can be. That's quite a significant loss for someone this age. So for him to be enduring that and seem not to have a problem with it means, in my mind, he's one of these ones that you can predict that when they get hearing back, he's just going to exponentially improve in his general being, his speech, his learning, his interactions, his social environment will be great. The only problem that Jack has in those situations is that often they complain that they get too much noise because they're so used to functioning in an area where there's low noise associated. Helping one child is an achievement for me coming up here, because that means one person is going to be able to hear again, and that's going to make a big difference on their language, speech development and growing up ultimately.